was a little girl, my daddy would take me by the hand, and we would walk, and I could feel the vastness of this big world all around us. Sometimes we would just stop and stand in awe. It all was so easy then to just open and let it in. This holy presence bringing all things into form. Real to me, it was so real to me. How could I deny everything I see? Real to me, it was so real to me. Everywhere I look, it's God I see. I remember feeling stuck. I would pound my head against a wall that wouldn't move at all. And then I'd close my eyes and turn my head, and I would see you were standing there, right beside me, waiting patiently, longing to comfort me. Your holy presence calling me home. Real to me, you were so real to me. How can I deny you when you're in everything I see? Real to me, you were so real to me. Everywhere I look, it's you I see. I just close my eyes and know I'm loved by you even so. This holy presence wraps me up from head to toe. Real to me, you are so real to me. How can I deny when you're in everything, everything I see? You are so real to me. Everywhere I look, it's you I see. Real to me, you are so real to me. How can I deny you when you're in everything, everything I see? You are so real to me. Everywhere I look, it's you I see. It's you I see.
Good morning, Genesis. This is a new experience for me, doing in front of the camera, but I got to tell you, I've been doing talks probably about once a month for churches on Zoom, so of course I've been sitting down. So the opportunity to stand up and do a talk totally. I am so grateful to you. I am so grateful to Gail for asking me. It's wonderful. And it's a wonderful topic. She said, would you mind doing alchemy? I've been doing these things on the master keys. I said, well, sure, that sounds cool. To tell you the truth, I've heard of the master keys, never read them. Did not notice till yesterday that there was actually an attachment at the bottom of one of Gail's files. Didn't see it that she had attached something about alchemy. But I knew some stuff, so I just went my own direction. And I know it'll be perfect. I know it'll be perfect. This talk is not going to be one that really gives you answers, and I guess in this teaching we don't really give answers anyway. But this is going to be one of those talks that actually, I hope, if it does what I intended to do, it will actually sow seeds that you'll unfold yourselves in the right way. I loved the title of Alchemy because it is so appropriate right now for some of the things I've been looking at, I've been journeying with. And also, it's interesting, as I thought about it more, it pairs with what many in our Centers for Spiritual Living communities are doing this month. The theme is conscious conduits. If you have the Science of Mind magazine, it says we're conscious conduits for spirit. Ernest Holmes said that God's will is just to express as fully through us as possible, not for us to do X, Y, or Z, but to be those conduits for spirit in what we do. That's kind of what we're always expanding toward. And then I guess today's topic, which when I saw it, I was just as glad not to be doing that one because I didn't understand. It said, how engaged is God as us? And I'll talk about that a little bit later, but these things actually join together very well. So that's how I knew that it was all unfolding perfectly. How many of you are like me and you go, yeah, alchemy, I know what that means. So I thought I'd better kind of look it up. I mean, I know through my own studies, I was an Asian studies major in college, and you guys have heard of Taoism, right? Well, many of the Taoists were studying alchemy because they were looking for an elixir of life, and they were that segment of Taoism back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago. They were called the Immortalists, and you can find them in paintings, in ancient Chinese paintings. But actually, alchemy was also being studied during the Middle Ages and the Renaissance in Europe, and it was both a philosophy and a science, or more properly, chemistry. Because what alchemy is, or was in that philosophy, was their search to take base metals, often lead, and turn it into gold. And probably most of you go, oh, yeah, that's what I thought it was. So to take base metals and turn them into gold. In a more sort of current definition, it's to take a substance of lesser value and somehow transmute it into something of great value or greater value. Gold was what they had then. So to take something of lesser value and transmute it into something of greater value. And transmute, also one of those words, is such a cool word. So transmute means to change something from one condition to another. And trans means across. Our beloved Michael Beckwith is always saying that they're a trans-denominational community. So trans means to go across, and mutate, of course, means to change. So alchemy is about this mutation of something to its much greater, perhaps its greatest expression. Why I thought this was a really good thing to work on now is because we humans need alchemization. We need to be alchemized. The world is not going to go back to normal, and it shouldn't go back to normal when a few things change, through things that are on the way, when maybe the pandemic starts ebbing, when perhaps someone steps down from office. Things will not go back to a normal, and they can't, because normal is not working for most of the planet. What's normal, especially in this country, is working for a very small percentage of us. So things cannot, should not go back to normal. And in that process, we've seen it already, and those in the seeking realms, those of us who are spiritual seekers, those of us who are really looking to create a world that works for everyone, see that there's going to be a lot of breakdown. There's going to be a lot of breakdown, because things have to break down to be remade. And what's required is a lot of very creative solutions. I don't know about you, but I don't think climate change is a simple thing to fix. I don't think the division that we have seen in our election and all the stuff that's been revealed, it's not terrible. It's a stuff that was been being hidden by being polite, and now it's out in the open. We know it needs to heal, but that's why it's coming up. And it's not fun to look at, but it's not going to be an easy fix. And I don't think it's ever been more true that quote from Einstein, I think it's Einstein, it said that the problem cannot be solved by the same level of consciousness that created it. Cannot be solved by the same level of consciousness that created it. So we are due for a transmutation of our consciousness, of our nature, if we are going to be able to make steps to solve anything. One of the things I've been studying recently, my husband Steve and I are taking a class from Reverend Dr. Jim Lockard, who's been quite a leader in our CSL world. And one of the things he's been teaching, and he's a guide for, is something called spiral dynamics. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it, and I could go off on a whole long thing. But spiral dynamics is kind of a map of consciousness, and it shows different levels that revolve around complexity of thought and cultural evolution. It used to be that things were very simple, and all of us are at different levels of this thing they call the spiral in terms of where we are in our complexity that we can engage. Do you know people who are black or white? Do you have black and white thinking? You cannot tell them about the gray. They don't see it. That's not where they are. It's not good. It's not bad. But it lacks the complexity that we are moving into, and change is speeding up. When they study the spiral dynamics and the different levels that come from sort of survival, original mankind, survival, then go through sort of shaman, early shamans and animistic, and then going to original warriors. That's kind of how it goes, and what's important and how each acts out of different values, that they're getting more and more complex. And it used to take, thousands of years to evolve to a next level in this spiral. And now it's speeding up. What we are creating as humans is forcing us to speed up. And that's all I want to say about that, except for the idea that's one way to look at what needs to happen. We need to start evolving our consciousness to deal with this complexity. I'm also taking a class that sort of talks about where we are now, completely different way. Andrew Harvey, who is a mystic. And years ago, we had here in Seattle a spiritual activism conference, and he is one of the big people in that. And he's kind of an amazing man. He's definitely a God-realized person. But he says what we're in right now is a global dark night of the soul. And I think we all feel that. And the thing about the global dark night is that it's pretty crappy when you're going through it. But if you do go through it, something beautiful and new emerges. New awareness needs to emerge. And he said, this is a time for us to be reborn. It's a time for us to be reborn. Jean Houston, the wonderful futurist, visionary teacher, has a book and a teaching about the possible human. And I think that's what's happening, is we are called to become the possible human, meaning the highest divine conscious conduit that we can be. That's what we have to do. We have to fulfill the spiritual potential that we all know we have. And as a matter of fact, I think if we're alive now, and we're sitting in centers like this, or many kinds of spiritual communities, we have that spiritual potential within us. Sometimes I go, I can't do it, I'm not enough, I don't know. Well, you don't have to know right now. But there's a few things we need to become. We need to become more of everything, I think. We need to become more holistic. We need to become more inclusive. We need to become more compassionate. We need to become wiser. And we need to become comfortable with change. Woo! Guess whose ego does not like that? Any of ours. So, all of this is not what I've necessarily wanted to look at during this time of being mostly home. But there is something in me, because I am scared. But I think there is something in all of us that knows there is something new that wants to be birthed, wants to be emerged. But if this alchemy is going to take place, this alchemicalization is going to take place, how do we do it? How do we do it? Can I take a pill? Can I take a shot? Well, no. Can I just study stuff? Can I read a book? No, I would love to do that. I would love to read the book and study. No, can't really affirm my way into it. We can't do it by ourselves. To come to our fullest human divinity, it's not something we can do. Remember, the consciousness that caused this is not the same consciousness that's going to move us. However, there is a divine alchemist that is real to us, as you said. I'm pointing to you being there. The divine alchemist stands ready and willing to do the alchemicalization that is being asked for, that the world is asking for. And as I said, it is willing. This is where that idea of how engaged is God as us. Reverend Edward Villoen, our community spiritual leader for CSL, gives little, we have cheat sheets all over the place. He gave a little video clip for this week's talk. And how engaged is God as us? 100%. Which, so all you need to know about that talk. Now you've got 2 talks in one. But so that's that idea that God, the divine alchemist, is ready to make the gift. This is an Ernest Holmes paraphrase. God is always, Spirit is always giving of itself. It is always giving the gift, but we need to accept it. So this process of being transmuted to the greater value that is shining from deep within each of us is a process of us allowing, inviting. And this is where we have to circle around from sometimes what we talk about in Science of Mind, about it's up to us, we can do it, it's my intention, to say, no, not only can you not do this, you can't earn it, you can't deserve it, it's grace. I think as we step into spiritual maturity, as religious scientists, we start opening, after we've done all the stuff we can do, after we've affirmed, after we've become the best me I can be, now it's to become the best I am I can be. And that comes by grace, which is available to all, the self-givingness of Spirit, available to all. So I have a couple of ideas for a couple of practices that you can use, and you may have other practices, but I thought I'd better give you some practices for this transmutation process. One is, how many of you are familiar with Tosha Silver? Any of you? She's fabulous. She started out by being an astrologist and would do these amazing readings for people and really see things. And she has really turned her life to being, God, show me what to do. Show me what to do. Everything, show me what to do. And one of the things, one of her books is called Outrageous Openness, and that's the one I've read, which I love. I definitely recommend it. And it is that allowing. But one of the things she talks about is change me prayers. That she writes change me prayers, which are God, change me into. And when I first saw that, I went, wait a minute, change me? Change me prayers first? Why? It's like you're telling God to fix you. I don't go for that. Now I am starting to change my mind about that and saying, maybe this is my prayer. Change me into someone who is wiser and more compassionate. Change me through that divine alchemy. That is your grace. That is your intelligence. That is your wisdom. That is your love. That is your vastness. Change me into somebody more expanded, that I might truly be a blessing as we navigate this new world. if that doesn't float your boat, just do your own asking or invitation. Do your own invitation to Spirit. Andrew Harvey says, time for us to humble up. I like that. Of course, he's British, so he says it in a cooler accent. But he says, it's time for us to humble up. To say, this is as far as I've gone through my own will, my own knowing. I set that aside. And say, God, Spirit, Infinite One, have your way with me. I know I'm not saying anything new, but it's really, this is the time. Have your way with me. I'm going to stop deciding what I want to be and really open to what is the divine alchemist idea. And another practice is something that I got in my class with Andrew Harvey, and I think it probably comes out of Hinduism, but it might come from, he's studied so many things. He's written books on mysticism and mystics in all different faith traditions. But it's basically a golden light meditation. He talks about the Divine Mother being really important now, whether you see the Divine Mother as Mother Mary, or you see her as he talks about, Kali. You know, that she's thought of as the destroyer in Hindu mythology. Who saw Help? That was Kali. That's how I think of, many-handed, fierce mama bear warrior who's cutting out all the BS, really. Cutting out all the stuff that doesn't work. So however you see the Divine Mother, to surround yourself, to do a meditation where you just let gold light spill through your chakras, if you're familiar with those, and if you're not, just through every area of your body. That she is there to give it, to engolden ourselves. Alchemy, who'da thunk? So to let that gold open us up, to let that gold lift everything that we are, up-level everything that we are, enlighten everything that we are. I kept thinking, when I was writing, I kept having the thought, I sung the Messiah when I was in the choir in college. And the Messiah, that long, wonderful Handel piece, is taken from Isaiah, one of the old prophets in the Hebrew scriptures. And there's one part, one of the famous parts is, the trumpet shall sound, and the drums come in, and one of the lines is, and we shall be changed. And we shall be changed. And Handel was of the era where they did da 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 da, you know, so there's lots of notes, and we shall be changed. We shall be changed. The trumpet's sounding. And we shall be changed. And the way that we get to decide about the change, I think the decision that we have is to align with what the divine wants to change through us. So it's not about weight or jobs or any of those wonderful things. It's about being transmuted into that gold that is the truth of all of us. So let's pray. I am so grateful to know That wherever I go, whatever I do, whatever I am thinking, God stands ready for me to awaken to. That infinite spirit, that omnipresence that we were reminded of, that omnipresence stands ready to reveal itself, to give itself, to be that which can move through the very cells of our body and transform them, transmute them, reawaken, re-enliven the cells of our body, the cells of our brain, that which is our being. And so this day, I speak my word for myself and for anyone who chooses to join me, that I allow and invite and open up to a divine alchemy that purifies me, that lets go of all the old stuff, old small ways of thinking and division and separation that do not work, do not serve me, and do not serve the planet. And I stand to receive by grace that love that is the transmutative elixir, the transmutative power, the true alchemy, that divine love to move me, to move us as the one race of humankind into the place where we truly can create heaven on earth. And I release anything that says, yeah, but in me. I release all that stuff that says I'm not enough, I don't know how it's going to look. I release all that, knowing that there is that within me which knows there is that which in me which is God ever present, that is guiding my steps every moment, every moment, every moment. And so as I give thanks and release this prayer, I remember this truth that we start with, that God is right where I am and right where I'm going. And so I know that all is well and all will be well, and all manner of things will be well, because God is. I give thanks, and so it is.
Dance speak.